Nice. Love it. Great analysis on Vinny Pasquantino and Miguel Vargas. Really appreciate that. And because Pasquantino only has unlicensed cards, this is actually a perfect segue over to our main man down in Tampa, Florida, the one and only Andy Kaysen from Football Card Quest and the host of the Football Card Strategy Show on nooffseason.com Sports Card Content Network. Andy, before we let you do your thing about the football card market, the data, and all that's gone on this offseason and the impact that it's going to have on cards and whose cards it will have the most impact on, I want to talk to you about a couple unlicensed cards that I found over the weekend that caught my eye as potential plays. And I say potential plays lightly because these are very new and probably don't have a huge market. And I tend to reach sometimes, but I like to reach because for the audience sake, of course. So let's start with an interesting one. Deion Sanders' son, who plays quarterback for him, Shedeur Sanders, I believe, is going to be NFL draft eligible either in 2023 or 2024. And he has an unlicensed card for a company called Onyx, which the diehards may already know about, but the people that are just getting into sports card investing may or may not know about. And so for those of you watching, I'm going to bring it up on my screen here, but we're looking at a Shedeur Sanders 2021 Onyx Vintage Collection College Blue Ink Auto out of 400. Andy, whether or not you know anything about Shedeur playing D2 down in Florida for his Hall of Fame father, or just your take
It's
on
D1,
unlicensed products like
D2.
this in general. You're right, D1, but I think it's like
it's FC,
the
FCS
second level of
whatever.
D1. Yes. Thank you for correcting me on that, Kendall. It's the former, I believe it's formerly D2 because I'm old. I get that wrong. It is D1. But Andy, what's your take on Shedeur and these types of cards?
Well, I think it all comes down to the entry price point, right? If you can go ahead and secure an on-card autograph of Shedeur now, just with the fame that he's going to have being Deion Sanders' son. And I do know that Deion Sanders here at Jackson State College is, through the new name, image, likeness program, they're able to pay college players. I've heard that Deion is putting quite a bit of money out on the line to bring in better players to the school. Mm-hmm. So that makes it very interesting because they are in, a very smaller college division. But I will say Shedeur does have a 79th percentile scouting grade at this point, and at 6'2", 215, that's a very interesting prospect, and he's definitely going to have some fame and some name recognition. He looks a lot like his dad too. So, draft eligible in 2024, I think you could see that hype peak around 2024. I do expect there to probably be like a Sage card that comes out, maybe a Leaf Pro set that also comes out with his autograph on it. That could be interesting buys. The one thing I don't like about these unlicensed cards is that they don't have any team names, or team logos of the college school on the front. But when they do have that autograph, that is very nice because you're essentially getting an autograph to this player. And this is like, the youngest that they're going to get when they're signing cards. So I do think that has some really cool collectability and investment appeal to it.
Yeah, I think my thought process with this type of thing is like, okay, the play the play to me is obvious, but then there are also obvious concerns. The play is buy now while there's a really low entry level point because it is unlicensed, because it's Onyx, which how many card company names would you have to name before you get to Onyx? I mean, at least probably 7 or 8, maybe even 12.
I thought it was actually
40.
a subset, to be fair.
But I thought it was the old rap group with Fredro Starr.
All right,
Onyx,
dude, you are
again,
aging yourself. Don't do that to
shows
yourself.
how old I am.
Don't do that to yourself.
I gotta stop doing that to myself. Onyx. Anyway, the play is to buy now and then flip when on NFL Draft Day 2024. I mean, it's plain as day. The concern that you just brought up though is what other cards come out between now and then, which is 2 years from now? Is there a Leaf? Is there a Leaf Pro Set is a great call, Andy. I love that you brought that up because that is a more recognizable card design. You've got the 1989 design that people recognize. You've got the 1990 design that people recognize. And even though Leaf and Brian Gray haven't been able to actually put team logos on them because of the licenses, they have, I think, done a pretty nice job with those designs with like the Trevor Lawrence sets and things like that. So that's interesting. So I'm not 100% sold on this particular Shedeur Sanders set. There are on-card autos. There are different color ink that coincides with the print run. So like, I think it's red out of 25, this is blue out of 400. And the market seems to be pretty stable for what these cards are going for at a ink color print run level. Yeah, I think it's actually pretty, I think it has potential legs. Andy, I think you're right about the price point. I think in order to make money on these cards, you have to buy at a really, really low entry level price point. And then I think you got to flip on draft day and just hope that, Dion and Shedeur and other people involved. I think his name, image, likeness deal is actually maybe with a company associated with Tom Brady in some way. I think I ran across that. I don't have all the details on that, and I might be getting it incorrect, but I think I'm right on that. So he's an interesting guy. I saw a Super Bowl ad that he was in this past year with his father, obviously. And so I think we can expect to hear more from this young man, and he's an interesting one. So the other one I wanted to talk to you about before
Can I ask
we
a
sort
question
of unleash
there before you do that?
Yeah, go ahead, Kendall.
So, Andy, have you looked this card up on eBay at all?
I have not.
So if you were to guess, where would you think that this is being at?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I would want to spend somewhere under $30 for this card.
Okay. That's pretty good. Most are selling between $10 and $20 right now.
Yep. See, I think that's very solid for an on-card autograph of this young man, because you could look at the Bowman U product, college product, and that's where you're gonna I think that's a very good entry price point, because the quarterbacks in that product, even third round quarterbacks like Malik Willis that don't appear to have a starting chance in 2022 unless there's an injury, are still selling right now for around $50 to $60. So at a minimum. So, I think that under 20 is a very good price point.
Yeah, you see right here, Kendall, I'm really glad you asked that, because let's give the real data here, right? So one sold on May 31st for $650, the blue ink auto, and then you've got a lot of them right here. May 25th looks like it went for under $14.99. You've got as low as $550, as high as $19.99, $21, etc. There's a red ink auto out of 25 SGC 9 that sold for $199.99. So as you get into the lower print runs with the red ink, you get higher sales, obviously, but certainly a blue ink auto out of 400, taking a flyer on a guy like this for $15, it could pay off. So we'll see. Good stuff. So the other guy that I wanted to ask you about specifically is related to the Bowman U 2022 product, and Kendall's going to chime in here after Andy and kind of give his experience with this particular product if he wants to. But there's the two big QBs, CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. To me, I would avoid them, because I think that they're probably, with this new product coming out, there's the hype of a new product, and there's the hype of the top players in the new product, and they're no secret. The good news is they're in the product. The bad news is I think they're overpriced. But then you've got other QBs that could get drafted later in the first round. We saw a guy like Justin Herbert. What did he get drafted, like 15th overall by the Chargers a few years ago? So does a guy like Tyler Van Dyke, for example, in Miami, does he move up in the first round, and is his Bowman U card now a potential play? Because you've got the out of 99 green refractor auto, you've got the out of 199 lava refractor auto, and I'll bring these up on my screen here for those of you watching. what's your take on Bowman U overall? And are there quarterback plays? Are there position plays? Good or bad with that product, Andy? What's your thought?
Yeah, so I like the Bowman U concept coming out of the gate because, and I'm sure Kendall could speak to this, but it has that Bowman first rookie card logo. And I was really attracted to that because that is very well known in baseball circles and baseball collectors, investors. They consider that as the true rookie card. However, when we come to football, actually getting that product in hand, having bought a hobby box and ripped it on my channel, not all the cards have the Bowman first logo. And then what they also did is they made several variations of the base card. They made a Bowman Chrome variation, then they made a base paper variation. And then there's multiple photograph variations of that to where some don't have the Bowman first logo and some have different photo variation. I was like, if they're going to print that much of an unlicensed product, which already struggles in the football card marketplace in the first place, why not stick to just a chrome finish? So I have been, moving away from buying the sealed Bowman U product to just targeting specific singles of guys that I like. They also excluded a lot of the best draft picks from this year's draft class. Like Bryce Hall is not in there. My guy Rachaad White that was drafted to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is not in there. So there's several guys that aren't in the Bowman U product that were drafted this year that I think were big misses by Topps and Bowman in that set. And then I think they just made too many of the base variation. I think they should have stuck to that premium chrome finish, the chrome stock, which is a nice card.
Yeah, those are good points. And Kendall, do you have anything to add from your perspective before we talk about these particular singles? Because I do like what Andy's saying about, okay, the boxes are one thing, but then the singles are another. So we kind of have to separate. We have to, related to a product, we really have to do our best to clearly separate those for the audience. So what's your take on like the product in general on your experience?
Yeah, I'm with Andy on this. I was super motivated to buy it when it was first coming out. Like when I first saw the first look of the checklist and everything, I was like, "Ooh, gotta have some of that for sure." Like especially with Bowman being kind of my thing. We've just had. We thought it would just fly off the shelves because in my perspective, it was kind of the first Topps/Fanatics like slap in the face to Panini. That was kind of my perspective of it, is like, okay, this is probably going to take off. But after ripping some of it and after seeing sales and stuff, I'm disappointed in how slow it's moved. And I don't know particularly why. I would say that Andy, you're right in the fact of like there's the checklist is top heavy. I'm not exactly sure if you said it that way, but that's how I would say it is. It's top heavy, and there's only a few guys that are chaseable, and then everyone else is probably going to have cooler cards in the future. And so I personally, so T, my co-owner of Wild Cards Trading, his son has bought a lot of this stuff because he likes college football. He's way into it. He's also young, so like he doesn't understand the investability of cards right now. He's all about collecting cards, which is totally cool. I'm not dogging that at all. If you guys are collectors on this show, fine, that's great. Typically, that's not what this show is about, but we're totally cool with investors and collectors as well. But like from this product, it's hard to imagine. Like, for instance, Lawson was pulling like $60 cards of running backs. And I'm like, dude, sell those right now. Like that's not going to get any higher than right now. But for the most part, these cards aren't moving. And so I would say that, Andy, you're completely correct, by singles over the batch. And if you want to buy more batches, we're selling them on loop every Friday. Please come buy some. So.
There you go. Help out Wild Cards Trading. And they are, I do think, I agree. I do think that products like this can be cool for collectors, especially young collectors. And but yeah, on the single side, Andy makes a good point. Like, and when I look at a guy like Tyler Van Dyke, for example, who early mock draft projections have him as like a mid first rounder at quarterback, and anything can happen. Football is obviously a game where injuries occur all the time. We've seen a lot of quarterbacks draft stock completely plummet due to whatever this extra season is that they were supposed to improve their stock. And so I'm not saying that this is a surefire pick, but I do think that if you can target like a green refractor first Bowman out of 99 auto, even though it's a sticker auto, we're looking at one of a projected mid first round pick potentially at quarterback for $91. And then that's a sale. And then a $60 sale of a lava refractor out of 199. In my opinion, these are recognizable designs, beautiful designs. People are going to have different opinions on that, but I don't think there's any doubt that these are investable cards. I just think, Andy, what's your take on the risk level of a play like this? Because again, the play would be the same as Shedeur Sanders to me. It would be nothing other than buy them now if you can get them for this price and sell them literally on draft day in anticipation of Tyler Van Dyke being a first round pick. But a crap ton can happen between now and then. So give us your take on whether or not you would look at doing something like this.
I think it's very interesting. I do think that you do have some downside at a price point like $60, right? I mean, if you just technically, is this one numbered? This one looks like it's numbered out of
199.
199. Okay,
199.
so I like that because the scarcity alone, the fact he's a quarterback, it's autographed, I think will at least maintain, $30, $40. So you're not really, paying up a whole lot for his athletic ability at this point, just based on the scarcity of the card, which I do like. And if he goes mid first round, I think that absolutely presents a nice flip opportunity. We've seen Kenny Pickett's Bowman Chrome refractor autograph card just like this going for $600-700 just recently. And that's what his Bowman Chrome refractor autos are selling for, and he went towards the end of the first round. However, he was the only first round quarterback drafted this year, so it's a little bit different story. Plus the Steelers have that massive fan base, but what's to say the Steelers aren't in the market for a quarterback again next year if this doesn't work out with Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky this year? So and then you have a few teams that are going to be in the market for a quarterback next year as well, and possibly even more if a lot of these 2021 guys don't work out. So I think the right market size, the right draft pedigree can absolutely see that card spike to several $100s if it's the only one out for him because of how liquid that autograph is. And then you add in the serial number. And so I love those aspects. And I think, that's a solid flyer for a quarterback. I think that's a really, solid investment point.
I think that what got me thinking this way is two things. One, you got to be super creative, I think, to make money doing this. And that's what we try to do on these shows. And two, we just had Prism 2021-22 come out. The big thing everyone's talking about, obviously, is that it's June and it normally comes out in October or November. So that's a big deal. And I think that, projecting into the future, it's probably not going to take June, but even if Prism 2022-23 doesn't come out until November or December, to me there's a flippable window between when a guy like Tyler Van Dyke would get drafted holding the Bowman U card that we're talking about, the first Chrome serial numbered auto. There's still like a potential 3 to 4 month window during the football season where if he's playing or there's any kind of hype around him, that could be his card for several months before the first real pro release comes out. So that's kind of my way of segueing you into more pro football talk at this point, which is the release of 2021-22 Prism. So